I'd like to call our meeting to order. And would you please rise for the invocation and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And today's invocation will be offered by Pastor Greg Williams from the River Community Church. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you all for your service to this community and how you watch over and work for the benefit of all of us. So the River Community Church is just so pleased to be a part of Hartland. So thank you for what you do. Let's pray. Father, I just thank you for this group of people who care deeply about this community, and they watch over it very carefully. Father, thank you that they have great discernment and wisdom, and I pray that you would just give them abundance of it this evening. May they continue to serve well as they have. And thank you for their willingness to be here and do what they are doing. Father, I just am grateful to be a part of coming before you on behalf of this community, on behalf of this board. Thank you again for all that you do in our lives. Thank you that you care deeply about us and how we live it. And Father, may we live it well according to what you show us. Father, again, thanks for each and every person that is a part of this and for their service to this community. It's in your Son's name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Williams. I will do the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'll have the clerk please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Trustee Harper?
Here.
Trustee Germain?
Here.
Trustee Kalani is absent. Trustee Petrucci?
Here.
Clerk Hopkins here. Treasurer Horning?
Here.
And Supervisor Fountain?
Here.
We have quorum of the board. We also have present Township Manager James Wickman.
Thank you. Item number 5 is approval of our meeting agenda.
So moved. Oh, second.
Motion by Trustee Petrucci, second by Treasurer Horning. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Anybody call to the public this evening? Being no response to call to the public, we'll move to item number 7, is approval of our consent agenda.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Trustee Germain, second by Trustee Petrucci. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have no pending business tonight. We have no new business tonight. We'll move to board reports. And we are in our second meeting of August. We start with Trustee Harper. No report. Trustee Germain.
I'd like to just provide a quick update from the Hero Board from our meeting that was held yesterday evening at the Hero Center. First of all, we're very appreciative of the sign, the new sign that's gone over there. Really, really looks beautiful. Recognize there's still, it's not complete, but it's such an improvement over what was there. It's a very positive sign. And then, secondly, we had a preliminary meeting with a Eagle Scout who is interested in putting in a half-court basketball at the Hero Center for use by the teens. He just came initially to get our opinion, which was favorable. There's, he has to find funding and put together a formal proposal and has to go through many different avenues of approval. But I just wanted to throw that out to the Township Board, and perhaps Joe can add more. He was at the meeting last night as well. But the boy that came, and I'm sorry I don't recall his name, but he's a big person and he loves basketball, so it seems like a good fit for his, what he would like to do. And he acknowledged he actually came to the teen center last year as an 8th grader. He's going into 9th grade this year, and he said was very positive about the teen center and what happens to, for those children who are able to come after school. but he said that it'd be good if we had a few more outdoor things for the boys to do, so that's, I think, where he's coming from with this, his idea. That's all.
Thank you. Trustee Petrucci?
Just like to add a little bit to what Matt has already started, and that is the Teen Center has a golf outing coming up Sunday at 2 o'clock at the Majestic. It's August 25th. If you'd like to sponsor a hole, it's $100 to sponsor a hole. If you'd like to play golf, it's $40 per person. There's still room to bring a team in there. It's just going to be 9 holes. It's going to be a fun afternoon for a good cause, and we have quite a few sponsors already. I'd like to thank all of those sponsors, but we still need more. So if you're interested, please call the Majestic and make your reservations. That's all I have.
Thank you. Clerk Hopkins?
I have nothing this evening.
Treasurer Horning?
I just wanted to remind everybody that we do collect items here to send over to the troops, and we'll be doing a fall push to get things out coming up for Christmas, and we don't collect personal care items as much as we do entertainment things, batteries, puzzle books, snack items, things that would, from home, a feel from home. They get plenty of personal care items that we try to make our packages fun. So if you'd like to drop them off here at the treasurer's office, we collect them, and we'll be sending out packages in the fall.
Do you have a list of things that you would be looking for?
I do, and I can give that to Colleen probably to get out there. Yeah, we have a
actually
whole-
put it on the
We could put it right on the cable.
calendar, community calendar, or something like that.
Yeah, we do have a
Okay.
great list.
All right. Anything else?
That's it for me.
Just briefly, Manager Wickman and I went to a 2-day conference last week. It was intense. We went from about 8:15 until 5 o'clock or later every day. And matter of fact, James and I are meeting tomorrow, and we're going to go over that, and we'll have a review for the board as to what came out of that. I think it was fruitful. There was good dialogue, and we packed in a lot in that 2-day period. So we will have something back in some type of more formal fashion by our next board meeting. If any other board members have any questions or comments? Managers report?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just want to highlight a couple things from the operational report. Regarding the Haya football broadcasts, the first games are this weekend, and the equipment will not all be ready to broadcast this weekend. And so we're at least a couple weeks out. We're not able to use the Comcast feed or that used to be there for the old studio, so we're trying to come up with a different solution, working on an agreement with the schools using the fiber, so it may be into the season before we're able to start broadcasting. We wanted to give an update on that. Otherwise, things are progressing quite well with Settlers Park, and we're pretty close to watching grass grow, so that's good. We, of course, had the budget timeline was approved this evening. Next meeting on there, you will note, was to have some preliminary discussion as we enter into that cycle, just to try to get any major things hanging out there. The board wants to make sure that we incorporate into the budget feedback, any new initiatives, ideas. We want to have that preliminary conversation before we get too far into the budget, trying to minimize those coming at the tail end of the budget process. We recognize, of course, that we do need to do more. We need to get back to the strategic plan and start looking at that, and that will ultimately have an impact on the budget. We're not going to try to do that in one meeting, but just want to get the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. So be prepared for that. The branding and websites initiative is getting started. We've got the firm on board, and we're going to start convening groups probably after Labor Day, and we should have a list here within the next week to the board of the various stakeholder groups, and trying to find representatives that we get on there. So there'll be more on that. Otherwise, happy to answer any questions the board may have about operations or reports.
Do you want to set a, I don't know, I don't see it on the agenda, do you want to set a ribbon cutting for the Heritage Park?
Yeah, that's my next order. If you have your calendars, next Monday or Tuesday, we're looking at, if it's possible, I'd like to know if either one of those dates are still okay, so we have some flexibility.
We actually have a meeting at 5:30 next Monday
Ah, yes, we do.
for park signs.
That's right. Yep. Which may be convenient if we do the ribbon cutting, and then you have that meeting possibly, because it's the same people involved. I don't want to
It's fine with
step
me.
on that.
We can do-
If we can leave Monday possibility, Tuesday will probably be our focus, if we can pull together all the parties.
Don't you guys go off Tuesdays?
We have one more night.
Tuesday, we can't do it.
They go off on
No,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
Monday would work if we reschedule the meeting.
Just to start after.
Right.
Okay, that's, we may go with that. If not, Wednesday next week, feedback?
I can't do it Wednesday.
Okay.
Monday and Tuesday.
We'll shoot for Monday, and if we can't do it, we'll be after Labor Day.
Okay.
We'll keep trying. The 10-day forecast says 30% chance of rain on next
Have
Monday.
you canceled? You're not nice.
Yeah, we just need to schedule one of these ribbon cuttings, and then we'll get some rain.
Yeah.
That's right.
Not that we need any rain.
Okay.
Otherwise, just have the agenda topic. We talked about roads and pathways, have the Boyle model update.
Yep.
So you have, I don't know that there's a whole lot to discuss because there's really not any major, there's some highlights to hit on. We included for you last year's numbers that we looked at, and I'll zoom in here. And you should notice a difference. There's some key things to look at. The key things are in this column, of course. This is basically where the bond fund hits a shortfall, and we need to transfer monies from sewer O&M to make the bond payments. Last year, the projections were for the next 10 years or so suggested that this was, where we were at on our needs in the 5 to 10 year time frame. What you'll notice in the update is that number's going down because we've had a number of factors sort of move in our favor. Now, having said that, it should be noted that not every aspect of the model got a full update. There are a number of factors that, had we gone into them too far, would have been maybe a lot more work than what it was worth for the board's value. And we do have one major factor sort of hanging out there in this tribunal case coming up this fall, and what the outcome of that is. Of course, we have every reason to believe that the law is behind us and we will prevail there. But if for some reason some goofy ruling comes out of that, or we end up in an appeal, we're going to have to make some major changes to the assumptions anyway. Some of the updates we've done, though, still are moving in a favorable direction. Again, a reminder, this Boyle model makes no assumption about selling any land. So if at any point in the next 5 to 10 years or 20 years we sell that land, all of that money goes back into this. It also does not take into account directly connection RUs sales or
For 20 each year.
not in this. So this is the bond fund. And so RU sales don't go there. Where they do go is into the O&M fund. And this is one of the spreadsheets from the rate study stuff that said that's where this yellow column matches up with the other. In order to get the money we need to make these kind of transfers, we've got to be able to support it through, operating surpluses, RU sales, and there's some assumptions built into that. The quarterly capital charge, and then the septage receiving. What you'll note there is that number hasn't been updated, and we know that that's pushing $190,000 a year now, and those are all good things. We've got couple of RUs that sold up.
You have, or you're going to
It
update?
has not been updated for that. The next major update, we will. I'm just noting that just with the few updates that we did for some of the obvious things, although that one was, it's still moving in the right direction, a positive direction. We're needing to infuse less cash to make those bond payments. These are all good things. We have the Forest Brook Hills RUs, they are, 25 or however many of them there are. That is something. We took Lake Tyrone out of the model, but if for some reason that comes into play, we know that's happening. We've got some interest in some of the property, vacant property out there that needs sewer RUs. The Presbytery property is one of them. They need 18 RUs, I think. We have...
So they would be able to hook up?
The sewer's right there, yeah. They would be able to hook up. Another factor for your update, Divine Lake. Divine Lake, while they've been delinquent with us, they've been paying the county. They are up to date with the county. So they are not, as of right now, Biddix Divine Lake is not delinquent.
That was on our radar to potentially be delinquent.
Yes, and
Well, it was delinquent.
And it popped up because they did go delinquent in the last 2 years, and they ended up paying the county in the end, and so they're caught up. And so, little things.
That was in our model, wasn't it?
Did they meet the threshold? Yeah.
They did meet the threshold, but because they have paid off the county, they came out.
We pull them out.
Pulled them out.
So all little things, but they really do start to add up. Now, the other noteworthy thing, of course, is that we do have the question about the refunding of the bonds, and that the law that sunsetted there a couple years ago has not been renewed, and that's the issue that John Axe is talking with Treasury about trying to get them on board with allowing for that provision to go back into statute. This still assumes that there's a refunding of those bonds in 2015. If for some reason we're not successful in getting that legislation, that would be another update that we need to make the next time around to assume that we won't be able to refund the bonds. That doesn't cause any concern for me because, one, it will maybe accelerate our cash flow needs, and if you recall, we do have a healthy fund cash balance in the O&M fund to cash flow some of those things over the next few years. And we have, once we get to a point where we're getting dangerously low, at that point, existing statute allows us to apply to Treasury to say, now let us refund the bonds because we're not going to be able to pay our bond payment. So while we may not be able to refund the bonds in 2015, I'm confident that state law is there and is intended to allow us to refund those bonds at the point at which we run out of those reserves or get low on those reserves. So we'll have to, when we do the next major update, do a scenario based on that at a certain threshold, when our reserve funds are down, that we would get approval from Treasury to refund the bonds at that point. And so that's a snapshot of where we're at. It's a better outlook than it was a year ago, which was a better outlook than a year before that, so it continues to move in the right direction. We, of course, have a couple other things hanging out there. The septage receiving station is talking about purchasing more RUs. We discussed the rate study this morning at advisory board. That will kind of make that decision, so that decision is probably 6 months away is my guess at this point. But whether it's 50 or 100 or 200 or as many as 300 they've talked about, that could have a significant impact on our model. We do have, I just got this morning as well, the rates from Genesee County that are passed through from Livingston County to us for sewer flow did not go up as much as we thought they would. They went up about a little over 10% And if you recall, it's been 6.5 years since they raised it. So on average, 10% in 6 years is pretty good. So it was less than what we were expecting. And their history has been that now that rate's in place, it'll be another 5 years before we're looking at another rate increase from them. And we hope and trust that continued economic upturn would help stabilize those rates. So again, the next time around, it's not a huge increase. What that means is that helps us get back out of the red in the operations fund a little quicker than our rates anticipated. On the flip side, we've got the next rate study for the county is going to have to get into CIP, repair and replacement. And I'm not real sure what to expect of that yet. There's a lot of infrastructure in the ground and not a lot of money in reserve to deal with those issues. We will certainly be at the table and involved in making sure that there's a reasonable methodology put to how much gets put aside.
When does SAD 2 mature?
2 more years.
2016.
2 more years?
2 payments.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And there's still that balance in there, correct?
yeah, and that's worked into these numbers here. This other revenue, that balance would come over to O&M.
Could that be a portion of what would be needed for that O&M?
Yeah, I don't think they'd be looking for lump sum money, although...
I thought you were talking about a reserve.
Yeah, a reserve fund, what I think it looks like is some that may be a scenario that plays out as we negotiate something with some one-time lump sum deposits. Because that has been our position as well in some of these conversations is it's not... first of all, we're never going to have a 100% rainy day fund for anything that could ever go wrong if the whole system needs replacement tomorrow. But if major things were to happen and there's not enough funds, one, we do have some funds that we could work with on our end that could be worked out, or we could bond a project if we had to because it's some major expense. And that would help level out any rate impacts of those issues. So,
Questions for James?
I had a question. Is somebody keeping a running total of RUs that are sold each year? Because part of this plan contemplates that we're selling, 25 RUs a year or something like that?
we're keeping those. We don't, I can't remember what assumption Boyle, we adjusted those the Boyle model adjusted from the original Stout or Barch assumptions. I don't know how many REUs we were supposed to sell this year.
And then it was adjusted in the growth study to 20
Yes.
REUs.
Right.
a year.
Right.
And, so we are keeping, we haven't, the only ones that we sold this year are the ones through the vet agreements, where they've opted to buy, a small number of REUs through a purchase plan or installment plan, so we keep track of it.
So this connection revenue column would tell me that it looks like it's maybe 20 REUs last year, and now 25 REUs going forward, maybe? Or...
No, it's still 20 REUs a year, but of course,
Contemplates the cost of the RU going up?
Are you going up, is RU excess flow surcharge in there, or?
it is.
Okay. So, yeah.
Now, the surcharge revenue's in there, that we will start collecting in 2014.
Okay.
Well, somehow I'd like to have a handle on, where we're falling on that, I mean, it's a piece of the puzzle.
Sure.
And I'd like to know, how many did we sell and...
Well, that big number in 2011, connection revenue, that was probably the septic receiving station, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't they buy a whole bunch? When we worked out that program with the
No, I don't think so.
There was discussion on the land,
The county or?
the county.
Yeah, it wouldn't have shown up in connection revenue, I don't think.
In the Boyle model, there was and I'm sorry, I don't recall off the top of my head
I don't either.
who that was. Could be the county, they bought an additional 100 RUs, and, let's see, I don't think it was in 2009, I think they might be the ones in 2011. 2012 was a small amount.
Lonnie bought some for his new edition.
Yeah, about, basically that's what RU were, and then,
So Larry's point is that if we're supposed to do 20 a year, last year we sold one.
Yeah.
So we're,
And yeah, we can get a more specific number on what the projection assumes and what we've actually been up to. As we've said, also look at that as an average. I mean, we did do 25 this year with Forest Brook plus, and then some, because some people are signing up for RUs with this RU excess flow surcharge. That's happening. And if,
Yeah,
if a major...
Not much of that's happening. If it's just doctor of bed,
Yes, I know.
you signed up for
Right.
like a half an RU.
If there are any more, those would be on top of Forest Brook. There's not, so far, not many. And then it starts to average out. If you end up with, like Lake Tyrone, there's 4 years' worth right there. If you end up with the septic receiving plant buying 100, that's 4 years' worth. For every 100 they were to buy. And subdivisions starting to build out. We do have hanging out there everyone within 200-foot connectors, and we're working on that to bring that back to the board to talk about. That's the tail end of this audit piece, is we do have people within 200-foot. State law indicates are needing to connect if they're within 200 foot of the sewer line. And I don't remember the number of RUs we're working with. It's not huge, 25, 50, something like that. So things like that continue to one step after another.
Well, I'd like to see us keep a running total every year, so that when we ask the question, how many we sell this year, somebody knows exactly how many we sold this year.
I can probably pull that up, Larry, because it would be in my, my cash receipts. I can make a list, probably.
I don't know, like, put a little chart together every year. Where we're supposed to
just
be.
add another line item right on there.
Huh?
Just add another line item.
Yeah, where
I thought it used to be on there.
Where we're supposed to be.
Is that
where
what
we
we're-
are.
is
We'll
that-
capture it somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be easy to pull up.
Okay, anything else on the Boyle model this evening? If not, we'll move on to item number 12, is closed session to consider the purchase or lease of real property. Mr. Harper, do you have that?
I am bringing it up.
I'll
Make a
move
motion to go into closed session to consider purchase or lease of real property.
Second.
Had a motion by trustee Harper, second by treasurer Horning. Any discussion? Being none, I'll have the clerk please call the roll.
Trustee Harper,
Yes.
trustee Jermaine,
Yes.
trustee Petrucci,
Yes.
clerk Hopkins, yes, treasurer Horning,
Yes.
trustee Kalini is absent, and supervisor Fountain?
Yes.
We are in closed session.
Now, can we,
I can mute the...
When I put this double, when I get the double on, I want
Deactivate the... Or activate might be a better word.
We're good.
I move to come out of closed session.
Or, motion by treasurer Horning, second by trustee Petrucci. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I'll make a motion that we follow the recommendation submitted to us by the manager in his letter.
Support.
Motion by trustee Harper, second by clerk Hopkins. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. And if there's nothing else this evening, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support. Motion by trustee Petrucci, second by trustee Harper. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.